everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to do a spice cabinet makeover organization today. This past year I have decided in my spice cabinet it needs a little bit of work to reflect how we live here currently at Ricks Creek Farmhouse. Our farmhouse in this past year has transformed into 100% pure and natural to the best of our ability. And I am looking for more ways to incorporate it not only in the kitchen but throughout my home, and my spice cabinet is not a stranger to it. This past spring and summer I grew tons and tons and tons of herbs, and I went and dehydrated a lot of the herbs, preserved a lot of herbs, froze herbs, worked with herbs, and decided this coming year, this gardening season, I want to grow even more herbs and preserve even more herbs and have them ready available in my spice cabinet. So with that being said, there are certain herbs and spices or things of that nature that I cook with more regularly, and there's others that I don't, and I don't want to invest the time and money in the things that I really don't use on a timely basis. I want to focus my energy on what I do use here on the farmhouse. So with that being said, I threw out tons of spices that I haven't used in over a year. I don't plan on using in the future, and if I find that I use these spices, maybe I'll borrow a little teaspoon here, a tablespoon there, instead of buying a whole jar, or maybe sharing, doing some type of co-op with those spices that maybe I want to try in a new recipe. But there are spices I do use on a regular basis, such as onion powder, garlic powder, and I use a lot of spices for canning, such as celery seed and peppercorn, that I want to have on hand, ready, available to be able to use and cook here in my farm kitchen and preserve here in my farm kitchen. A lot of the herbs I grew this past summer were anywhere from mint to lavender to oregano and thyme, and I want to enhance and build on that and maybe have enough to last me on the months when I'm not gardening or those herbs are not growing, so I can have those dried and ready to go in the spice cabinet. If you want to know more about how I preserve my herbs to bring them into the spice cabinet, to bring them into dishes throughout the year, let me know in the comments below, because I'd be more than welcome to share tips and tricks on how I did it this past year and how I'm moving forward in 2021 in preserving. So with that being said, I picked up a few items through Amazon. I recycled some items that were currently in my spice cabinet that I picked up at the Dollar Tree or thrift store. And my stove is right here, and they are ready to detox, and I'm ready to go through and give it a good cleaning and have available space for all the herbs that I'll be growing and harvesting in the fall. So let's turn this camera around and see what we're tackling here. Hey guys, so I am feeling it. This is my spice cabinet, which is right next to my stove, which is perfect because I can just grab the spices I need. But ooh, look at that, it's a mess. And I just want to really organize it and make it more aesthetically pleasing. So we are going to pull everything out, put like spices together because I believe I have doubles in there somewhere, and then just make it more aesthetically pleasing. I'm gonna keep the wire little shelving unit I picked up at like the Salvation Army or Goodwill, I can't remember. And then the Lazy Susan I'm gonna keep, that I'm gonna store all of our vitamins down there because I do like that easily accessible because it's right by the Keurig. So I'm gonna start pulling out and whatnot. Okay, first things first, I'm basically taking all of the glass jars out of the packaging to get ready to clean these all and disinfect them all. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just removing them from the box that came on Amazon. And I'll link these exact spice jars in the blog post that's attached to this video, so make sure you check that out. I wanted something that was just more aesthetically pleasing and more uniform. In my kitchen, I'm in here pretty much 50% of the day, if not more, and I just want to make sure I have some good organization and things that look nice to the eye. Now here you can see I'm just taking warm soapy water and I'm placing all of the glass jars, lids, and caps in there to kind of just clean them and get all of the germs from packaging and shipping off. And I will dry these out with a tea towel and then I'll let them air dry just to make sure all of the moisture is out of the jar, and before I put any spices in here, because I do not want moisture in my jars. Okay, all of my spice jars are completely dry, and now I'm taking rubbing alcohol and wiping the outsides of each of the jars. And the reason I like doing this is to make sure all of any residue is off the outside of the jars so my labels can stick well and stay on for a very long time. Now it is time to place your labels and your spices in your new jars. I have printable labels for these jars. They did come with labels with the jars, but there are a few spices that I like to use, such as lavender, on a regular basis that wasn't in the labeling that came with the packaging. So I do have some printable labels for the spice jars that kind of, they're for my needs and what I use on a daily basis. So I'm using this funnel here to take all of my preserved herbs that are now spices and place them in the jar with some of my pre-existing spices. So that is what I'm doing here. I'm removing all the tops. I did not put the tops on the new spices until I was completely 100% full with the desired spices. So I actually moved on to a larger funnel because that funnel, it was a little tricky to get all of my herbs in there. So some of the thicker, larger herbs. I just want to tell you guys, when I was going through my spices, I threw out a lot of spices that I've never really used in over a year, and it was just clogging and cluttering the space. So I only have the spices in my spice cabinet now that I use on a regular basis. And I have Italian herbs. I divide it into categories: Italian herbs, Mexican herbs, fall and winter herbs that I like to use, and then my everyday herbs and spices that I use pretty much default every day. So as you can see here, any decluttering space, I like to pull everything out, every single thing, and give it a good deep cleaning. And that is what I'm doing here. Just pulling everything out, deep cleaning everything. And as I'm pulling things out, some of the things I threw out right away, but then a lot of things I threw out after I put it back in there. I had to ask myself, do I realistically use this? Do I want to keep the space cluttered? So there were some spices such as sesame seed that I don't use a lot, and I don't use a lot of cream tartar either. So I figured I'll probably just borrow that from friends and family, or maybe buy some and split the cost with friends and family, just because it's just something that's in my spice cabinet and there's no use for it. Okay, so I'm basically placing all of my spices back, and the wire racks I did get at a secondhand store, so I want you guys to check out your local secondhand store for organizational products, because you can find a lot of things there very inexpensive. So I'm placing my most used spices on the middle shelf and the ones I hardly ever use on the top shelf, along with any extra. So I buy a lot of paprika in bulk, so the extra paprika is going to be on that top shelf. The bottom shelf is my husband's vitamins to remind him to take it when he gets his morning coffee. So I put those all on the bottom shelf with this cute little turntable I got at my local secondhand store. Okay guys, mission complete, and as you can see, these wire baskets, I got them from the thrift store years ago, and I just cleaned them up and cleaned everything down. And then as you can see, these wonderful jars that I picked up through Amazon and the labels, I will have a printable link for you to be able to get your own labels if you have pre-existing spices and you just want to add to them. So what I did is I put my most regular used spices here in the middle shelf, and that's things like parsley, bay leaves, chili powder, and all that. Plus I like that they're clear and they're all uniform because it looks more aesthetically pleasing, and it can kind of give me an idea of what I have in my backup pile, which is right here. I can look through my backup pile. So these spices I will not use until these are used, and then if they're getting low, I can check in there to see what I need to refill. Now obviously the chili powder, I refilled everything, so I had to get more paprika and more chili powder. Now over here is our salt and pepper, and I do have a label for the salt and pepper. I just chose not to put it in there because I have these adorable little glass mason jars my sister got me. My husband does like to cook with some of these spices. I know not the most healthiest, but we'll keep them around for him. So he's got a few of those. And then I do like to get, this is his too, the taco seasoning from Costco. It has very little, well, it has nothing. It's just all spices. So it's just a blend. I just like it. You can make your own if you want, but I like it because I do use this a lot on Taco Tuesday. And then I also have one of my favorite spices I've been liking from Trader Joe's. It's just a blend of spices that I already have on hand, but I like it because it's something quick that I can give a little bit of flavor to soups and pasta dishes and such. So I have that here. So these spices, will either my husband will grab, or they're just seasoning that I like my lemon pepper and whatnot. And then up here is just the stockpile spices to restock. All of these are either store-bought herbs and spices or ones that I preserved from my herbs this past summer. And then at the bottom is just my husband's supplements with a few things such as like zinc that we like to have on hand during the winter months. And then we just have toothpicks back here, rubber bands back there, and then back in there is a little more toothpicks. So that is pretty much it. I think it came out a lot better. It gave me a lot more room. It's a little less cluttered. And this is what I think I'm going to keep. I'm going to just keep all these spices, which I do use. A lot of these up here are fall spices or summer spices. And then I do have some little seasonings and things way back there that I don't grab too. These are the ones I grab the most. So really, realistically, I have about 15 spices I grab throughout the week, roughly, with another 10 up there I don't grab as frequently, and I'll just keep changing them out per season. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video with my spice cabinet organization. I really am going to try to, like I said, grow my own herbs and preserve them into spices. If you enjoy these type of videos from me creating a natural homestead here on the banks of Riggs Creek, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos from me. Hit this like button if you even want to know more about herbs and spices, because then it kind of gives me an idea. If I have so many likes, I'll be like, wow, they really like this video, I'll do more like that. So make sure you do that, and then let me know in the comments below if you are interested in how I grow and preserve my herbs to turn into spices and use throughout the whole year. I hope you guys are having a fabulous day, and I hope your home is more natural, more homemade, just better way of living overall. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. So long.